Hi guys, I'm Linda.
And I'm Vicky.
And we are Partners in Crime. So we're going to start our wine segment, and today I did pick up, it is called Trio, and it is from Franklin Hills Vineyards, and this is a Pennsylvania wine. I wanted to pick this up so we can showcase our state and some of the wines that come from it. This is called Trio, and it is a 3-grape red. So we tried it, we already had some, and we really do like it.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, again, it is Franklin Hill Vineyards, and I can't really read where the Franklin Hill Vineyards is, but I'll put that at the top so we can let you know. And if you want to pick some up, I did get this at our states, well, we used to call them state stores. Now they're Pennsylvania liquor and wine stores.
Right,
so,
and you could always Google that and find it.
But it's really good.
I know it's hard to see the label because it's a dark label with red printing, so it's hard to see it.
I'll try to put it up here a little bit so you can read it, but it's pretty good. We like it.
Very good.
Yes. So today we are going to do a news story that has been in the news, but I believe now, Vicky, it is a cold case, and Vicky's going to go into more about Jennifer Dulos.
Yeah, this case is not that old, but they had to close it because the primary suspect, her ex-husband, is dead. So there was nowhere to go with it because he was charged with murder. But before we get into that, let me give you a little background. She went missing in May of 2019. She dropped her kids off at school. She has 5 children between the ages of 8 and 13, probably 9 and 14 now. And from there, she was missing. Her friends got concerned because she missed several appointments that she had that day, and the appointments were in New York.
And she's in Connecticut, correct?
She's
Did you say
Connecticut.
that? Okay.
She's in a very affluent part of Connecticut, only 45 miles from Manhattan. So a lot of their activities was in New York. So she was meeting friends there, and when she didn't show, they got concerned and called in a missing person report. And the investigation started. So it turns out that she was married to Fotis Dulos, and he is a very wealthy, upscale home builder. They lived in a $3.5 million home in, I think it's Canaan, Connecticut.
Okay.
And they went through a really messy, hostile divorce. There were 400 filings that had to do with custody and just very, very nasty. They were battling for custody. She filed that she was afraid that he was gonna kidnap the kids and take them to Greece, where he was originally from.
Okay.
And she would never see them again. So she was granted sole custody of the kids at this time. So, of course, he was very angry about that. After the divorce, he moved to a neighboring town, I don't even think it was that far, in Farmington, Connecticut.
Okay.
Which, again, in another sprawling mansion that he moved into with his girlfriend. She claimed there was infidelity during the marriage, but there's not a lot of information on that. But when she went missing, the nanny took her 5 children to her mother in New York. The mother is 84 years old. So the mother now has the kids under armed guard security.
Wow.
Because she was afraid that Fotis was going to try and get them. So, and there were so many reports of him being aggressive and abusive, and this was all in the 400 filings that they had done back and forth, accusing each other of all kinds of things. So, as a result, there was a search, a 300-acre search of where they found her car. Her car had evidence, blood evidence in it. They believed that Fotis was waiting for her in her home. And when she came home, before she was going to go on her appointments, he killed her. So there's a lot of blood evidence in the house, blood evidence in the car. There was also another car involved that was an employee of his. He borrowed that car, and there was blood evidence in there. They found his blood and her blood mixed in a faucet. So there's just a preponderance amount of evidence. So
now, can I ask you, when they found that in the sink, because he lived in that house before, was it new blood? Or was it just they found traces?
I'm assuming that it was new blood. Because they're saying they found a lot of blood evidence of something happening.
Okay, not just the regular standard cut your finger or something like that. Okay.
And they also have footage, security camera footage, of he and his girlfriend going around the Hartford area to different trash receptacles, throwing things away.
Yeah, I remember that.
So when the police did confiscate some of those items that they threw out, and there was Jennifer's blood on some of those items, they initially arrested Fotis in June of 2019. At that time, he and his girlfriend were both charged with tampering with evidence and hindering prosecution. They then made bail and continued on with their lives until there was more evidence found, and that's actually when they found more blood evidence in her home. In June, they arrested him again on murder charges, and of course his girlfriend as well, for conspiracy.
Do you know what Fotis's girlfriend's name is?
Her name is Michelle Triconis.
Okay.
Apparently, she worked for him in his office or in marketing capacity for his business.
Okay.
So, of course, his lawyer was claiming they were building a case. They were wasting their time because it should have been somebody else he was accusing. And then he came up with the story that Jennifer had been writing a book similar to the story of Gone Girl, where she faked her own death and to frame somebody. And so he's trying to imply, he's saying that that's what she was doing. In January, Fotis made an attempt on taking his own life, and he did it with carbon monoxide.
January of 2020.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then they took him to the hospital, and he was in extremely critical condition. And he died 2 days later.
Oh, okay. So he didn't die from the initial, he died from
No, but it was,
happened.
It was a result of that.
Yeah.
It just wasn't an immediate death.
Yeah.
And his lawyer still wants to try and fight to clear his name. And another attorney said that that's very rarely the case when someone commits suicide and the case is no longer able to proceed.
Inactive, other than trying to find Jennifer.
Find Jennifer.
Yeah.
So it's already been a year that she's gone. And they did close the case. So at this point, it's a cold case, and I don't know what attempts are being made to continue to find her or not.
Okay.
But it's just...
There's no new leads or anything?
No, they followed up on hundreds of leads. And because he was a home builder, he had lots of opportunity to hide the body.
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
It could be underground somewhere. They also looked at a septic tank in one of his huge estate homes that he was building. At the time they looked at it, they didn't have cadaver dogs with them, but they're thinking there could be a possibility that that's where she is. So I don't know if they're going to go back in and look, but they don't really know at this point.
And because of the, Vallow case and with the kids, I wonder if they have any cell phone.
They have a lot of cell phone data. They have, just like the Vallow case, they have pings and they have information from GPS data, pretty much following him around and knowing that the other individual whose truck he borrowed was not involved because they had his cell phone data and he was nowhere around.
Okay.
So it's just awful. And when you think of those 5 kids, what they're going to have to live with.
They don't have either parent right now.
Either parent.
Yeah.
So very sad.
Yeah. Sometimes in these situations you have the older children that step up, especially since her mother is a little bit older. They step up and take care of their siblings. So we just wish all the best for those kids. Right. And you never know. They could be working on this. I know they closed the case as far as photos is concerned, but maybe they will be able to find Jennifer.
It takes one detective that has an interest
with new eyes looking at.
And and you hear that. You do hear that. A new detective will come and look at the case.
Yeah.
And
because you get into looking at the same information and your mind is thinking a certain way, and to have somebody new come in to think differently, that's kind of what gets us moving again. So we hope that something, they find something that can at least give the family closure, because it is hard, especially when there isn't a body that they can, bury or...
Meanwhile, the girlfriend is still in jail.
And she hasn't talked. She doesn't have any information.
She's denying that she has any involvement with it at all.
Because has she gone to trial yet?
I don't think so.
That's why she just wants to make sure.
Right.
Maybe if she's convicted, maybe that's when we'll get some answers. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was only 50 years old.
Yep.
So it's a shame.
It is. So many tragedies.
Which makes you, when you hear about these spouses like Suzanne Morphew, who missing, and the husband is the first person that comes to mind, especially when there's other cases like this out there, and there's quite a few.
Yeah.
Linda's going to talk about another case where that's the situation. Another case where the woman was never found.
Yeah. And they do say that most of the time it is the people closest to them.
Right.
So.
And I keep blaming Barry for Suzanne Morphew, and that's why. That really is.
Yeah. And especially since they're not having people look for anybody else. That is a big red flag as far as I'm concerned. If there's a boogeyman out there, they want everybody to know. They're not saying that. So the police know a lot more, and that's why they're not putting that out there, I'm sure.
Right. Fotis was also involved in a lawsuit with Jennifer's parents because he borrowed over $1 million from Jennifer's father.
Wow.
And he promised to repay him, and it had something to do with for fronting a loan for him building homes. And Fotis is claiming it wasn't a loan, it was a gift.
$1 million gift. That's nice.
So then, since then, the father, Jennifer's father, has passed away.
Oh, okay.
But her mother, is still trying to get that. Well, I guess she can't get it anymore.
Well, I mean, he's probably still has, an estate, unless it goes to the children, which is
right.
Should go to the children,
right.
But so Jennifer was the one that came from a more affluent family than Fotis.
I don't think, Fotis was an Ivy League school graduate.
Okay. So
he was born in Turkey, but grew up in Greece.
Okay.
I don't think that he was, by any means, I don't know what the class rankings would be in Greece, but I think he was pretty affluent.
Okay.
Especially since he went to Ivy League schools.
Yeah.
And so did she. She went to Brown. That's where they met.
They met at Brown
University.
Okay.
And
how long were they married?
13 years.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Okay, so their oldest was 13?
13.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, they had 3 boys and 2 girls.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as soon as any updates come in, we'll be
hopefully there
posting
will be.
that for you.
Hopefully there will be.
Yeah, sooner than later. So, but all right. So, is that it for Jennifer?
That's it for Jennifer. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was that the Arizona police they're claiming they're soon going to be ready for murder charges against Lori Vallow. Now, soon could mean 6 months.
Yeah.
But they're giving that information out there. So I'm glad.
Yeah.
And these are murder charges against Charles.
Not necessarily that she murdered him, but conspiracy.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, definitely conspiracy, because they know Alex shot him.
Yeah.
But, they're thinking there was some kind of setup.
Yep. So now that we're done talking about Jennifer, we do want to kind of sprinkle in some of the cult mom interesting facts that we find out from time to time. Vicky's going to talk about Chad and some of the interesting information we found out about him.
Yeah, there's some interesting detail about when Chad had his first near-death experience. This was in August of 1985, and he claims he was cliff jumping at a reservoir in northern Utah. He claims at that time he crossed into another dimension and realized there was a world beyond. Somehow that was a near-death experience. I don't know whether he was injured or why he thought it was near-death.
Or maybe he was drowning.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He also, after high school graduation, he was on an LDS mission in a Spanish-speaking area of Morristown, New Jersey. Which
Not
is
too far from us.
our neck of the woods.
Yeah.
He wrote in his autobiography in 2017 that while serving in this mission, he actually witnessed the first vision. Mormons believe that Joseph Smith received his first vision and was chosen to be the Lord's prophet. In 1993, Chad experienced his second near-death experience. And he was hit by a wave in La Jolla, California. He claims he visited the spirit of his deceased grandfather, who showed him future events. This caused the veil that separates mortal life from the spiritual world, and he said it was partially opened, and that's how he often feels that he can see spirits and, understand what's going on from things that he hears. He has his foot in both worlds. He did a blog after his second near-death experience. He was driving south, and I'm going to have to read this, so you'll excuse me. He was driving south on I-15 in Orem, Utah, past Geneva Steel, when he saw a vision of the steel plant change into subdivisions.
He could have heard something in the news or, in the local paper, and or he knows people that knew something about this development happening. I don't,
Well,
or it's just a matter of if nobody's working there, sometimes you just assume it's probably going to be developed eventually.
Well, it closed. The steel mill closed in 1999, and in 2015, Chad claims that he foresaw that happening. And a similar vision in 2005 supposedly inspired Chad to write a futuristic book series. 1997, 2 years after Chad became a sexton again, so at some point he was a cemetery sexton before all this, he is shoveling snow at the cemetery when he hears a voice say, "It's time to write your books." So that was a voice in the cemetery.
Okay. I think we all hear voices in the cemetery if we're in there, especially late at night. Oh my goodness.
I don't think I'd be in there late at
No,
night.
I'd be running, but
In 2014, and this is the summer of 2014, Chad's mom rents a large cabin in Island Park, Idaho for an extended family vacation trip. Is his mother still alive? Do you know?
Yes, his mom and dad. They were actually supposed to be witnesses in Lori's preliminary trial.
Oh.
So yes, his parents are still alive.
Okay. On this Idaho trip, Chad hears a voice say, "You'll live here soon." And that's in Idaho. In 2015, and this is February 2015, Chad has a vision of walking a path and hearing a voice say, "Moving to Rexburg will be a tremendous blessing to your children and your grandchildren."
No, it wasn't, but yeah.
Well, his children are fine.
Well, no, they're dealing with not having their mom. Yeah, they're okay. They're still around, but
Yeah.
they don't have their parents now, so
That's true.
I would say they're probably not okay at this point.
A few weeks after that, Chad was eating dinner with his family and said, "When we moved to Rexburg," he had not brought it up before, and Tammy wasn't thrilled. But soon Tammy agreed and was looking at real estate in Rexburg.
And maybe it's better to just go along with it than fight it. Who knows? We don't know the relationship.
We don't know the relationship, but I'm sure he must have been, if all this started for him, in 2011 or whenever he had his first vision. Over these years, he claims he was still having visions, so he must have conveyed to her. I'm seeing this, I'm hearing this, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I wanted to share something I found on Facebook. When everyone is talking about Chad and Lori, this person knew Chad, he went to school with him, and he wanted to just explain that he was not this way when he was in school. People have to realize that sometimes people aren't born evil. If you consider him evil and Lori evil, they're not born that way. They become that way. So he put this post in Facebook. So I just wanted to read it to you because we have to kind of keep that in mind as well. Sometimes people get some power, they feel like they're above everything, they lose their morals, and it's all about what they want, and they don't consider anyone else. So this is what this person wrote. A lot has been written here about Chad, with a lot of people making assumptions about him as a kid based on pictures that are being passed around. People say he looks like a creep, or I'll bet he was weird, and some rather crazy things based on pure speculation and the fact he's not particularly photogenic, which, yeah, we understand that. I'm not either, so, you know. I went to school with Chad from 6th grade through high school graduation. We were never close friends, but we were friendly. I like to provide some context about Chad. Chad was a very normal dude. He was kind of shy, and he was very serious about religion, but he was almost universally nice to people, and he was reasonably popular. So he was a pretty popular kid. He was not the weird kid. He wasn't the creep. He played basketball. He graduated with high honors. He was smart and kind of funny. I'm still in Facebook contact with a lot of people who graduated from Springville High in '86, and in every single case, myself included, people were completely shocked when the story broke in December. Nobody is saying, oh yeah, I totally knew he would kill people. Chad just wasn't that guy. I had checked out his writing before all this went down and knew he had some pretty crazy beliefs, but to think he were capable of murder, none of us would have predicted that. Of course, I'm not saying this to defend Chad now. I just felt some of you would appreciate a bit of perspective from someone who knew him. So I thought that was something that we should read, because we have heard about Chad and Lori and how people have said they would never have expected this from them. So, you know, we still have people that have families, so you have to remember that as well. Chad's children and grandchildren and his parents are alive, so they love this man. They still love this man. So you have to keep that in mind, especially, I know in the beginning how the kids were defending their father. They lost their mother. This is all they had. So, you know, you just have to let them be and not press too hard about what they're doing. Hi, Luna. And we have Luna joining us. Oh,
Luna
kitty cat
is my wild child.
Yes. She just wants to jump all over the place.
The new baby in the household. Want to say hello, Luna?
Say hello.
See, Luna?
Say hello.
She's got wild eyes.
Yes, she looks like a really pretty Halloween kitty cat for sure. All right. Well, I guess that's it.
That's all I have.
All right. So until next time, bye.